Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Weed, the cannabis review podcast that asks, is it the feature or is it the bug? I'm your host, Tango Hotel Charlie. On this podcast, my wife tries to kill me with legal weed. She does so by blindly choosing samples from the government store, and I willingly put my life in her hands. Just a quick update on the Northern Lights autoflower seeds from Parkland. Remember those? Well, every single one of them germinated. I used the clamshell method to germinate them. That is where you wet your medium, in my case, paper towel, and place it in a ramekin or a bowl. Then take a second ramekin and place it upside down on top of it, so it looks like a clamshell. Then you put your seeds onto the wet paper towel and close it all back up. This prevents it from drying out. Make sure you check on them every day until you get a ½ inch to an inch of taproot, and you'll be growing in no time. Okay, so today's strain is MK Ultra by Namaste, a Xena brand. Namaste? Let's see if they can do any better this time. These are the cornballs with the illegal pledge parties. You know, the ones attended by strictly educational models dressed as scantily clad sexy nurses? The guys that lied to regulators, shareholders, and investors. You know, the inside trading, all that shit. If you haven't already, make sure you check out episode 10 for a more in-depth breakdown on all of that. They, of course, were just bought up by Hexo. And remember, listeners, watch the ball, not the cup. I've seen more people speaking up about the shitty quality of the legal market lately, and it's nice to see that. Let's keep these assholes honest. Just go do a search on Twitter for Namaste Cannabis, and you will see what people think. Not the stock investors and store owners that stand to make money off encouraging you to buy more. In fact, some of these clowns run LPs and are even suggesting you pay more than you already do if you really want the good weed. Fucking assholes. Anyways, back to MK Ultra. It was $10 a gram, that's $280 an ounce. If I'm paying almost $300 for an ounce, it better blow my fucking dick off. Its plastic jar tells me it was packaged January of 2021, which is about 4 months before I purchased it. It claims to be a 19% indica strain, and its top 3 terps are listed as terpinolene, myrcene, and limonene. These are supposed to come through as sweet, fruity, and earthy. When I crack open the sarcophagus, I put my nose up to the jar. Again, I'm greeted with that exact same lime smell as the Ultra Sour and Limelight from Redican. Kind of a lime gummy bear smell. Once again, it's so exact that it's suspicious. It's that very strong lime powder candy smell. Unmistakable and seriously strong. The buds themselves are some of the ugliest to date. Sad, dark green and brown colored bud crumbles. A pile of leaves and detritus and chunks of thick stem with remnants of bud and leaf clinging to the side. At a glance, it looks like oregano or something you might clean out of your lawn equipment. Again, to my naked eye, it looks so light, I pull out the digital scale. And sure enough, it's underweight. Like every other sample, it's as dry as Ben Shapiro's wife. Now, before I break into it, it's time to look under the scope. Here, the trichomes look abused but visible. The majority of them are amber, so it should be a sleepy, subdued high. But then I see it. A dark, brown, beer bottle glass-colored bug body. What the fuck? What? This couldn't be. Culture Vultures told me it was the black market that had the dirty weeds sold by criminals. Actually, now I put it that way, it kind of does sound exactly like what Xenabus would do. So I keep looking. Sure enough, I find it again, and my eyes weren't playing tricks on me, so I check the other bug crumbles for more. I couldn't seem to see any. So I go back to the original offending bud. Now, it's not too often I find weed that I don't want to smoke, but there we were. I looked again to be certain. This time I also found small black seed-shaped spots. These are either bug parts, bug shit, or bug bodies. Either way, bug bad. Then I noticed something else. On the bud with the bug body there was a long thin strand, only visible underneath the scope. It was a bluish-black color. It looked like it was some sort of fiber from clothing or a tarp. In any case, it's not something you or your grandma want to smoke. Now at this point, I'm just red flagged the fuck out. There are more red flags here than a Canada Day celebration. I wonder if I should even smoke it. So I go check the other buds and see if there's any way I can salvage this, for science. At first glance, things seem okay. I'm thinking, maybe I can just smoke some of it in a bowl or something. Until I broke a bud in half and kept digging. Inside, I found more black seed shapes. As soon as I found those anomalous bug parts, I tapped out. I pulled the cord, I bailed. I'm willing to test low-quality weed for you guys, but this is man versus weed, not man versus might. It killed me not to smoke it and tell y'all how high it didn't get me. But also think about it. How many people are looking at their weed under the microscope before they smoke it like I do? All these folks would just have rolled that bug body blunt and called it a party. And for $10 a gram, you should be able to have that confidence in one of the oldest legal cannabis producers in Canada that claims to be the Amazon of weed. I guess they meant Amazon jungle with all those leaves, twigs, and bugs. Anyway, I still needed to get high, so I grabbed some hash that was recently gifted to me by a kind Twitter friend. It is a Sweet Skunk Cinderella 99 cross strain grown right here in BC. Bubble hash is made by agitating cannabis in ice water over varying grades of fine mesh. The ice causes resin to become brittle and separate from the plant material, and since resin isn't water soluble, it falls to the bottom of the processing bucket. As it passes through different grades of mesh, it sifts out the nonsense and leaves you with nothing but the goods. When my wife picked up the package containing it, she got nosy and opened it up at work. To her chagrin, the lovely odor immediately filled her workspace. She had to explain why to her coworkers. Oops, lol. I shared some of it with a buddy of mine and we were both very happy with it. I smoked it in my little hand-blown glass spoon pipe over ash. You could put it in a joint or on a salad in a bowl, but I really wanted to focus on the hash here. As soon as you open the package, it just smells like fresh flower. I used a fairly small chunk and hovered the flame to it. It melts into a lovely pool of terpy cannabinoid goodness. Now, being hash, it of course tastes very hashy, but it's got some underlying sweetness as well. It burns clean and the smoke is smooth and tasty. The buzz is a nice overall electric body high that doesn't make you drowsy. It takes me back to my teenage years back in Vancouver buying hash from some random guy outside of McDonald's after he yelled hash at me as I walked by. And then taking over to the park and getting ripped in the sunshine. Anyway, the hash was fire. Shouts to Peak Seeds BC on Twitter for that gift. It was delicious and it really saved the day. Make sure you give them a follow on Twitter at SeedsBC. That's SEEDSBC. As for the Xena Bugs, well, I tried calling the customer service number on the shitty plastic jar to see what they can do about it. And as it turns out, the Amazon of weed is closed on weekends. Because they got better shit to do than listen to you complain about bugs in your weed. God, you're such a buzzkill, bro. So if I can be bothered to jump through the hoops that is their customer service, I'll let you know how that goes on a future episode. But I don't expect much. So, will this make me abandon the well-priced, great-quality, black-market cannabis I've loved my entire life? Will I make the switch to legal, underweight, irradiated government bug-part weed? Nah, I'ma stay. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Man vs. Weed. In the future, if you would like to send a sample of your homegrown cannabis, I would love to review it on the podcast. Also, if you think you can do a better job picking the strains than Robin, I would accept government samples as well. So yeah, put your money where your mouth is. The only requirement for those is that they're in sealed containers. So for those and any other inquiries, contact me at manversusweedthc@gmail.com. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's StreetVillain, and follow along, participate in all the fun at the hashtag ManVersusWeed. Until next time, check your weed closely, get high as fuck, and free the weed.